Hello everybody, today I have for you a layout with some photos of my stepson and his family at a pumpkin farm in the area. And I'm mostly using the Simple Stories Hello Fall collection here. I love this collection and it's really fun to be able to use it. I have this background paper that I love that I just cut down just a little bit. That background paper that's gridded with the flowers on it is again from Simple Stories Hello Fall, and the paper is called Autumn Delight. And I'm going to take two of the photos here and I'm going to mat them on this navy blue grid paper. The name of that paper, and again that's from Hello Fall, is called Harvest Season. And I have three photos here with two different orientations, so that's sort of an interesting thing about how am I going to get this to work well together and have room for journaling and all of that and make it look cohesive and sort of blended in together. I found this die cut from the Hello Fall Bits and Pieces. That's what they call their die cuts. It says you pick, and since this was a pumpkin farm, I thought that was a really fun die cut. And then I found these die cuts of a pumpkin and a gourd, and so that's kind of just a cute little something to add on here since it is again a pumpkin farm. And I'm just playing with these die cuts, just getting them positioned properly here, or what I think is properly anyway. Now I want something to take up that space where my left hand is sitting right now, and I'm not quite sure what that is, but a 3x4 card will probably fit in there the easiest. I'm thinking that that might be the place that I want to journal as well, but that kind of depends on what I find with this, with a journaling card, the 3x4 cut apart card there. That cut apart sheet is from Simple Stories Hello Fall, and it's just called the 3x4 journaling card elements. So 3x4 journaling card elements is what it's called. And I'm going to cut that out. I like how it brings that plaid in, a little bit of masculinity, because there are three boys on here, my poor daughter-in-law. But it also just pulls all the colors together. And there is a little label on here, so I can journal something on there if I want to. I could have, now that I'm looking on that, I could have flipped that the other way and had the label on the bottom, and that could have worked as well too. But we'll see what happens in the end. One of the things I want to tell you as I'm working through some of these things and looking at them is pay attention to the still shot in the end. I used an Allie Edwards stamp set, as I had forgotten I wanted to do it, and I saw them and decided, oh no, I really need to get them on there. So take a look at that, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit more. So I was looking through my die cuts because I have a lot of white space on the right side there, and I need to take some of that up. And I found this die cut here that says enjoy, and that is from the Bits and Pieces. The other thing, when you look at the final detail there, is I also put an acorn sticker up there, and that came from the sticker sheet, just so that, from Hello Fall, just so that you know that, from the combo cardstock stickers. But you're not going to see me put that on because I didn't do it until the end. Now I'm playing around a little bit with whether I want a floral cluster to go with the floral, or if I want to use that cardstock or cardstock chipboard kind of plant piece. And I'm going to go with the chipboard plant there, and that is from Hello Fall as well. It is from the chipboard stickers is what it's actually called. Now I'm inking the edges right now with Tim Holtz Vintage Photo, and that's just to kind of blend everything together to pull all the elements together. So I was talking about the Allie Edwards stamp set I want you to see, and I have never bought hers. I don't stamp, so but I saw them when she just advertised her December Daily, and the stamp set is called December Daily, but it has all sorts of there are certainly lots of things that you can use for Christmas and that kind of stuff, but there are also a lot of other stamps, and I'm going to use it on this layout and one of my upcoming layouts as well. So one of the stamps I used was Today Equals Awesome, and the other one I used is it says Enjoy the Season, and both of those are very simple stamps that you can use at any time of the year. And that's what I like about this set. There's a lot of them to be used. And I'm going to use, I used Jenny Boland brown sugar ink when you see those in the end. And I'll talk to it again quickly as the still shots are coming up. I really loved the way her stamps stamped though, and they were easy. They look great. They're just, you know, I stamped them off just to make sure everything was okay with them the first time, and they stamped beautifully like I had been using them forever. So I will be doing more and more of those. I always love the way Chamel gets a little stamp in here and there in her very layered layouts. So it is another dimension on your layout, and I'm definitely going to be using that up using that trick a little bit more often. All right, so now I found this little label, and I'm going to put this at the top of the photo, but first I need to put a little bit of foam tape behind it because I want that to have some dimension. It says cutest pumpkin in the patch, and they're all pretty cute, so I guess it doesn't have to refer to anybody specifically in the layout. And again, more inking, and I just want the each cluster to have a little bit of dimension in it. How about that? That's what I'm really trying to say. And this is where I just said I could have flipped that, turned it completely around 180 degrees, and it would have looked cute with the label coming out of the photos too. Actually, that probably would have been a really nice way to get that into the cluster right there and make things kind of join them together even more. So I didn't see that until I was looking at the layout to start doing the narration, but that would have been a cute solution as well. I have my big roll of foam tape there. You can buy that on Amazon. It's from Scotch 3M. And I'm just going to cut that up a little bit so I get the whole pumpkin taped up there, so that will have dimension. So there's another item in another collection with dimension. And now I'm taking off the backing, which is never easy for me to do. All right, and I like how that looks. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted that bottom to be all glued down is that I know, or I think I want my title to go on the bottom there below the photo cluster. And in order to make sure I've got that where I want it, I really need to get things glued down. So that's what's going on there. And now I'm still going back and forth about whether that I put a die cut flower or that botanical there, and I'm just, you know, or a leaf or whatever, but I think I want some dimension here, so I'm either going to need to use the foam tape or use a chipboard piece. And eventually I just stop going back and forth, and I decide on this little botanical piece to put on that little pumpkin, you pick pumpkin sign. One of the reasons I decided on that is I liked how it was orange and sort of blended into that, so it looked not part of it, but it drew less attention to itself. With the flower cluster and that yellow leaf, it just, you saw the flower cluster and the yellow leaf instead of the you pick pumpkin sign. And since this was a you pick place, I really wanted that to stand out. All right, so I have those things down. And now I'm going through to look at my alphabets, trying to decide what I'm going to use. I really wanted to use these orange alphabets here from Jelly Bean Soup. They're alpha beans, but I didn't have enough to write the name of the place, which is Lindner. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do that, because what I thought I might do is write those in like a bigger font and then use this these wood mini markets from October Afternoon for the other part of the title. So instead I went to my thickers and I found this alphabet here. This one is from Let's see. You know what? I did not write that down. So oh, here, I do have it down. Sorry about that. It's from American Crafts Stickers, obviously. It's called Layers. The name of the font is Layers, and the color is Fireberry. Now, this is something that I bought at a clearance site a while ago, so I don't know if it's even around anymore, but just so you have that information so that you can look it up if you want to. It's a great orange. So I'm trying to decide where that's going to go, how I'm going to make that look. And I think, well, I could call it Lindner Farm, which is what I was going to originally call it. And then I decided I really did want to use those October afternoon mini markets. And so I decided I'm going to call it Lindner Pumpkin Farm. So the alphabet, the mini markets are actually called Front Porch. And I don't know what October afternoon collection those came from, but the name of the font is Front Porch. I've started writing some of those things on my sheets because when I bought these, I wasn't doing process videos, which is true of a lot of my stash. So, you know, now I keep pretty good track of things, but there was no real reason for me to keep really, really good track of things. You know, I knew where a lot of things came from, like I knew it was Schmel, but I might not necessarily know which collection it was from, although I'm pretty good at that. But now I'm definitely making sure that I'm writing all those things down so that I can help keep track of it for you. Now, I am going to do some journaling on this layout, and I don't believe I do it on camera, so I'll talk to that a little bit. I'm going to do it on the bottom half of the grid to the right of the photos. So I started, it's about even with the You Pick Pumpkin Farm sign. I'm going to do it in my American Crafts brown precision pen. And so I'll just journal in that space there. And then I use the stamp because that I was talking about that says enjoy the season, because there just wasn't enough weight in that top, at the top where the little enjoy arrow is. So I use this stamp and then that acorn sticker to help take up some visual weight, because the rest of this layout is pretty heavy. And I didn't want it to have just a big white space in the layout when there's no other big white space anywhere else. It just wouldn't have looked cohesive, and it would have looked really off balance. Now there is a bit of a white space when you see the detail shot, so there'll be basically a white space from the bottom of that enjoy arrow down to the top of the You Pick sign. But I think that's not so bad. I think it gives your eye a little bit of a place to rest because there is so much going on with this layout. And I did think at one point about sort of incorporating some flowers or other items that were dimensional, maybe some enamel dots which come with this collection, into that flower cluster on the bottom right. But I just decided I didn't want to add any more dimension down there. I didn't want to call any more attention to it than it was. I really wanted that to sit as a layer in the background, and that's ultimately what happens because I haven't called any more attention to it. I am using my Cutter Bee tweezers here to get these letters down. It's hard to get them straight, and the tweezers does a really nice job of keeping them that way. All right, so that looks good. So now it says Lindner Pumpkin Farm. And I'm just kind of looking to see what other things I might want to do here. I just was checking the back of the photo because I need a date, and of course I never, you know, I write the dates on them, but I never remember to glue them down. And the date was in the back of this photo, but some of the paper from the paper stuck to the back of the photo, and so I used my finger to get the ATG off of it, so I knew what date this was for sure. I could have gone back and looked at the photos, but where they were posted, but I just was lazy and decided not to do it. Now the other thing that I've noticed is I know I'm going to journal now on the right next to the pumpkin farm, so because there's a lot more that I want to say than will fit on that label. So now I have to figure out what to put on that label. And what I'm going to put on there is October 9th, because that's the date that the photos were taken, and that takes up some of the space. Right now it says October 9, but I'm going to actually do 1/9, so it takes up a little bit more visual weight again on that label, just because there's so much white space on it. Something needed to take that up, and I was going to handwrite in the date, but I knew that that wouldn't take up enough of the white space or have enough visual weight. So by using the mini markets there, that does a really nice job of making that look a little bit more solid. And it's another wood element, which I think is kind of nice since it is a farm here. That definitely helps that out. And I was just showing you the white space where I'm going to journal, and there's my American Crafts Precision pen. All right, here is the still. You can see the stamping above Lindner and by the enjoy arrow, and you'll see that again in the close-ups. Hope you are all well. We'll talk to you soon again. Bye.